Hello everyone, this is Jimmy and welcome to episode 15 of FTB Infinity Evolved Skyblock mode. I want to start things off today by actually upgrading our mob spawner. We made this cursed earth yesterday and now I want to use it to actually make our mob spawner spawn mobs when I'm offline. Before I do that though, I want to make some of these lamps. Cursed earth will spawn mobs as long as it's dark. So right now our current mob farm, I can turn on, there's a creeper outside of it. I could turn off the mob farm by just walking over here, basically. My presence is enough to prevent mobs from spawning. Well, that's no... Oh, it's not because I didn't fill in these corners. But that's no longer true once we use Cursed Earth. I ripped up the floor and replaced it all with dirt and put a couple of these Project Red illumination lamps in the ceiling. They're far brighter than just classic redstone lamps, and I think the color... At least I like the color more. So when I'm out here, there's a switch I can flip. If I turn the switch off, the lamps turn off. Turn the switch on, the lamps turn on. Now all I have to do is prime it with a little bit of Cursed Earth. So if I just, let's see, grab one piece of it, you can put it anywhere. I'll put it right here. And then when that piece of Cursed Earth is in darkness, it will spread to the other pieces of dirt, and eventually this entire thing will be filled with cursed earth. So we'll check back here in a little while, maybe 10-15 minutes, and see that the entire inside has been cursed. Before we move on to today's project, I want to get started on something that will take a long time, namely 16 hours. So, by throwing charged Certus quartz, nether quartz, and redstone into a puddle of water, they become flux crystals. This process is basically instantaneous, as you can see. So when this is done, I should be left with... What do I have left over? I have 4 pieces left over. Weird. Whatever. I have a bunch of flux crystal. If I take this stuff and then pulverize it, I get flux dust. Now, the process of making pure flux crystal is normally done with accelerators. However, in this pack, where's my pulverizer? There it is. Before you have access to accelerators, you have to make a batch of pure both flux and Certus. So I want to pulverize all this into dust. We need a faster item transport. Much better. And then after processing, or after pulverizing it, we just have to turn it into the seed, which is, I think, is done by crafting it with sand, and then leave it in water for 16 hours. It probably only takes about a stack each of pure Certus and pure flux to reach a point where you can make growth accelerators, but I'm not the type of person for half measures. I have a lot of seeds. So let's transport all of these over to our water puddle. They have to sit inside the water like as item entities. So my plan is literally just to place it, break the chest, and I guess some of them did land in the water. Hope the rest of it get into the water. Alright, looks like we're all in the water. These items never despawn, or at least they don't despawn like in a reasonable amount of time. They'll sit here all day and not despawn, basically. So, we just leave it here and we'll pick them up tomorrow, I guess. Now, moving on. There are so many items flowing around. What actually happened here is that I fixed a recipe issue. Previously, I had... Let's see, which recipe would have been in here for this recipe. I accidentally put the copper plate in this slot, not this slot. So the system wasn't actually trying to craft anything. It wasn't actually actively trying to craft many fuel rods. So like I had 200 some in the bank, but after, I think those are from the copper plates that I had pre-crafted. But once those were up, it was like, well, I guess I can't make any more. So it didn't try to craft any. But once I fixed the recipe, it's like, oh, well, now I can make a whole bunch more of those fuel rods. So it kind of just started doing it all at once. And Logistics Pipes doesn't understand that this machine can only hold 64 items at a time. So it's like, oh, you have room for items? Let me send you 500! And then 500 items come here, and then they reach here, like, oh, I can't go in. So then they bounce right back to where they came from. So they keep bouncing back and forth between the storage and the inventory. And the same thing happens with like the iron ingots coming here, right? It's like, oh, here, let me send you 500 iron ingots, and the machine's like, wait, but I can only take 64 of them, so it gives the rest back. You can kind of fix this problem by using huge buffers. Like if your buffer is large enough that it can just hold the 500 whatever items that are being sent. In some case, like in the case of plates, it's probably actually like thousands of items are being sent here because it tries to craft all of these at once. But it tries to craft 64 times 8, 9. I don't know exactly how many. That's 500 something. But yeah, it tries to craft it all at once, and each one takes 4 iron plates. So it tries to send like 2,000 iron plates here, but most of them get rejected. Alright, whatever. It's like it causes a little bit of visual lag, causes a little bit of TPS lag, but besides that, it's no big deal. Uses a little bit more energy because you pay energy per withdrawal operation, but frankly, it looks really cool, so I'm not going to bother fixing it. Today, I would like to finally get around to making this enderman spawner work. However, I just went and checked our mob farm, and it still hasn't produced an enderman head. I don't know, Endermen might be creatures that only drop their heads if they're killed in a specific way, namely with a beheading weapon, because this has been running for some time, and if we peek inside here, we should see... Let's see, is this safe? Yeah, the cursed earth has completely spread. So everything's covered with cursed earth already. And which means endermen are spawning and stuff, it's just that we're not, still haven't gotten our enderman head. My solution then will be to make a Tinker's Construct cleaver and just go kill an enderman in the end and get his head from that. So the cleaver requires a cleaver blade. I need to first make enough stone, then pour gold over it. I'm just going to make the entire cleaver out of shiny because it has the highest damage and has a lot of durability. I'm sure there's probably a better material. Let's see. Mandolin. Yep, it's better, but it requires more work because I don't have an infinite supply of mandolin. I really need my mob farm to stop leaking mobs. The cleaver is actually a really good melee weapon in this version of Minecraft because this predates the combat update that limits your attack speed. You can kind of just spam click. Now, it does give you Mining Fatigue 3 kind of to like slow you down a little bit, but it's still the hardest hitting weapon. So it's like, die. By default, cleavers have a 20% chance to behead, but each modifier that you use on beheading gives it an extra 10%. So it's an obsidian and an ender pearl. Now, it only starts with one modifier, but we can get more. By enchanting or not enchanting, but upgrading any Tinker's Construct tool with a diamond and a block of gold. Uh-oh, is this disabled? This is supposed to give you another modifier. I guess if Tinker's tool leveling is enabled, this is disabled. Alright, well, I guess we can't easily get more modifiers then. My bad. Good enough then. 30% to behead will have to do. So let's head to the end, where we are immediately greeted by a whole lot of endermen. Unfortunately, we still don't one-shot them. I require your heads. No heads. Enderman. Just saw one fall into the void, but I just got one earlier. We two-shot Enderman by the looks of things. There's another one. I'm gonna get a handful. I don't know how many. I mean, we need one right now, but if I get enough for the future, I don't have to come back and do this again. 2 heads. Whatever. Good enough. Let's once again head back. Where's the portal? All the way over here. Enderman head in hand, it's finally time for us to make a soul binder. Soul binder, come on. There we go. So I have a soul binder, a broken spawner, and a soul vial. I need some number of levels for this. Let me figure out exactly how many. 15, apparently. So let's get a capacitor for this too. Make me more electron tubes, would ya? Let's try that capacitor again. In fact, make me 2. Nope, make me 1, I'm sorry. I asked for so much. We do need EXP though, so Let's see how much EXP has been banked here. 65 levels, perfect. And click this button to give it the EXP and let it begin. It's exceptionally slow without a capacitor. 500 RF a tick, and it's like a 1 million plus RF recipe. Even with the capacitor, it's faster, but it's still slow. But I'm gonna let this run a bit, and we'll come back once our enderman has been jammed into the spawner. Unfortunately, the soulbinder in this version doesn't have the really cool animation with all the head spinning. But this didn't take all too long. It was like a minute total. But that gives us an empty soul vial and a broken spawner that's now set to enderman. So we just have to combine the two in an anvil. This also takes levels. 30 of them, apparently. And that gives us a enderman-powered spawner from a empty one. You can use it to, I'll bust into that, not take my broken spawner. You can use this to set basically any mobs. I think some are blacklisted, like villagers are blacklisted. That's about it. But at least that's all that I know that's blacklisted. So it uses 1600 RF a tick without a capacitor, and it's very slow without a capacitor. Endermen are one of the more expensive mobs to spawn. Let's see how much it is to do it, power it with a capacitor. Since I don't yet have enough ender pearls to make vibrant alloy, I'm just going to cannibalize the capacitor out of there. But it is 15,000. We're just going to run it without a capacitor for now. I think the entire output of my base gets about halfway to 15,000. Because we'll be running it without a capacitor, it'll be glacially slow. That means we want to squeeze as many ender pearls out of each enderman as we can. I mean, I guess that's true no matter how quickly you're spawning them. But that's where the smeltery comes in once again. Much like before when I was melting endermen that naturally spawn for resident ender, we can also melt the ones we intentionally spawn in with the spawner for resident ender. So I'm going to make a max size smeltery. I believe that's a 9x9 base. And then we'll just immediately drop all our endermen into there. Now there are a few clever things we have to do, because in order for the smeltery to deal damage, there has to be a fluid in it. Turns out 7x7 interior dimensions is the maximum size of the smeltery that you can make, which is a little unfortunate because the spawner does spawn mobs in a 9x9 area, I believe. Does it have a show range button? Not in this version. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it spawns in a 9x9. So we lose some of the effect of spawning because it won't spawn mobs in the walls. Oh well. I also don't want other mobs spawning in here, so I'm going to place a chandelier. That just prevents mobs spawning in like a 15 block radius around it or something. It's just like a small mega torch. There is a proper mega torch, or magnum torch, which prevents mob spawns in a huge radius, but it requires some of this bedrockium. Then again, I can make bedrockium now. I have the plutonium. Well, I can process the plutonium. Maybe I'll make some of these later. I'll power the spawner, like everything else in our base, through the logistics pipes. So I'll give it the upgrade, and now it's running. If I don't cap this off, like if I don't put a roof on it, the enderman in here will eventually teleport out. I think it's when endermen can see the sky and it's daytime, they're allowed to teleport. So let's top things off with, well, a top. Now I have a topped off smeltery full of very angry endermen, but they're not taking damage. To make them take damage, there needs to be a fluid in the smeltery, and what fluid is more appropriate than water, because they are endermen after all. Apparently you can't melt snowballs in here. I specifically want as little fluid as possible inside. So, how do I get it in? I guess I need to put a valve or drain somewhere. Alright, water, go inside, please. Nope, go inside. Now that there's a fluid, any fluid inside the smeltery, the enderman will take damage. And each time they take damage, each enderman produces, I believe it's either 125 or 250 more buckets of resident ender. But this way, each enderman on average will produce like 4 to 5, maybe even more ender pearls before they die. It does leave ender pearls inside, so if you want, you can also pick those up. And this way, you get the maximum number of ender pearls per enderman. Of course, this isn't actually ender pearls yet. This is resident ender. The smeltery has a limitation that you can only interact with the bottommost fluid in here, which is, right now, it's water. If we make Resident Ender the bottommost fluid, then we can interact with it. However, at some point, we'll drain it all, use it all, whatever, and there'll be nothing left but water. So we need to come up with a way that when water reaches the bottom, we automatically take it all out and then put it back in, because there needs to be a fluid inside to damage the Enderman. Lots of options how to do this, but I'm just going to use the transfer node. It has the benefit of having an internal buffer. You have to use something that has an internal buffer, because if it doesn't, then you end up removing and placing the water back in at the same time, and you never remove it all, right? So if water ever ends up at the bottom, it gets sucked up to here, where it holds it for a few seconds while it searches for the destination, and then, look, I got a drop. And then eventually, when it puts it back in, it places it at the top. So that guarantees that Resident Ender will be at the bottom. Now all that's left is to cast that Resident Ender into Ender Pearls. For that, I just need a casting table, a gem cast, apparently has no known materials, and something to pull the fluid out. So any fluid transport, in this case I'm going to use Ender fluid conduits. So, how do I do this? Extract always. Wait, do Ender fluid conduits not even have channels yet? Oh. Apparently they don't have channels in this version. Really? They can be filtered, but they don't have channels. Good to know. I totally forgot that. Anyways, that casts them into Ender Pearls, and then we can store the final product, the Ender Pearl itself, in a drawer. Brown insert, and I think I always active. Alright, let's lock the drawer, and I can connect this drawer to our logistics plates. Now there's one more thing that we can kind of keep in mind, that a significant amount of our Resident Ender usage is actually as Resident Ender. When you use it to make Enderium, right? You just use Resident Ender to make Enderium. So we actually don't have to turn everything into Ender Pearls. We can actually store a significant amount of it just as a fluid. And for the finishing touches, we just need something that can pick up all the items that get dropped. So I'm going to put a collector like this. They don't have the largest range. I think they cap out at 4. Yeah, which is why we'll need 1 in each corner. And even then, does that actually 1, 2, 3? Oh no, that will get all the items. So that'll just the Ender Pearls. I think when Endermen die this way, they only drop Ender Pearls because they count as environment kills, not player damage kills. So we can afterwards route all these Ender Pearls back into that drawer. There we have it. Fully automated Ender Pearl and Resident Ender production that comes with its own built-in Enderman torture chamber. What more could one ask for? Using that Resident Ender, now making a lot of Enderium. So hopefully this is the end of our Ender Pearl and Enderium shortage problems. 256 ingots. Whoa. I don't want it on large plates. I want them as ingots. Apparently Enderium large plates don't exist in this pack. I think Extra Tick or whatever it is not part of it, or it was removed at some point. So we don't get, well, the real sad thing is we don't get the Signalum crossbow, which is it's a fun toy, but it doesn't exist here, alas. We have plenty of Enderium in hand. Let's see about upgrading Jetpack. So use that and this, and apparently get it with energy. Oh, because there's more than 10 million RF in my capacitor already. All right, now we have a resident jetpack. Let's also upgrade the armor plate, and then we can put the new armor on the new jetpack this way. And now we just fly even faster. The hover is also slightly better, but the biggest improvement is how fast we can go in a line. Vroom, vroom. We looked at the recipe for the flux infused jet plate a little bit here, and I think we can pull it off. So, just start crafting. I'll probably do, I mean, it's almost 100% just microcrafting to go through all of these crafting steps. But, yeah, I'll just go through it. After an eternity of microcrafting, I think we're on the last steps here. So can take off my jetpack. This would have taken literally forever without JEI bookmarks. So thank goodness for those. Put this here, this one here. Whoops. All right, make 2 more of these. Come on, we can do it. The end is in sight. Can I just click this? Aha, there we go. We have a flux infused jet plane. All right, so when I put this on, whoops, I guess I have to turn hover mode back on. My hotkey for that. Ooh, now that is fast. Vroom, vroom. It's also going to take a little while to charge at 5,000 RF a tick. What's its maximum charge rate? 20,000? Maybe I can make the better capacitor now. Let's make a top tier capacitor bank. That'll allow it to charge at 20,000 RF a tick, its limit. The vibrant capacitor bank, I think each one contributes 25k RF a tick to the charge limit. Yeah. So while we can't charge the capacitor bank at full speed because we just don't generate enough power, once the capacitor bank is charged, it can dump its energy into the jet plate very quickly. Although I suppose one capacitor bank holds less energy than the jet plate. Whatever, once this is charged as much as we can, we'll just start using it. 22-ish billion RF will last a long time, because it only uses 400 tick to move around. This is super fun. So fast. It also has perfect cover. So you will never, unlike the other jetpacks, you don't slowly lose Y level as you hover. I was going to move on to magic today. However, it seems like we don't have that much time left. So instead, why don't we take the 10-ish minutes we have left and finish the processing of these depleted fuel rods into their constituent components. So that has to be processed in, well, first of all, I have to put this suit back on if I want to touch the fuel rods. Unfortunately, that takes my very fast jetpack away. But these have to be processed in a thermal centrifuge, and it gives us plutonium, it gives us our uranium back, which isn't very useful, and some of the iron dust that went into making the fuel rods. In fact, I think we might get all the iron dust back. How much does it take? No, it takes 7 iron ingots and 2 copper ingots, of which we only get 6 iron dust back. Oh well. I guess we lost some of it along the way. Anyways, let's start by building another thermal centrifuge. I made a mistake. I picked up the fuel rods without putting the suit on. If I would live long enough, I could go drink a cup of milk to save myself, but I'm not gonna live long enough to get there. Dang it! I was planning. All right, let's get my stuff back. I was planning on just configuring a active supplier module. I'll place that to move the fuel cells so that I don't have to touch them. But I forgot that I took my suit off. So anyways, let's do this now. I want it in, specifically this time, I want it in bulk 50 mode. That means that only supply if you can give it at least 50% of the request. So at least half a stack at a time. That's because this machine does have, the thermal centrifuge uses heat. So if I supply it like 1 fuel rod at a time, it'll heat up, process the fuel rod, and then cool back down, and that's pretty inefficient. So I'm going to wait until there's at least a bunch of, a bundle of them, and supply all of those at a time. For a while there, I was like, why are there why is nothing being supplied here? It's empty. I realized it's because I never actually connected the spent fuel drawer to the logistics pipe network. Now, when I put this chassis here, it connects to the reactor. That's bad. If I were to put the provider module into here now, and I ask for a component that's in the reactor, the logistics pipe will happily rip it out of the nuclear reactor, at which point the item conduit will happily place a fuel rod there, at which point it will promptly explode. So let's disconnect that. Good. Much safer. And then we can put our provider module in here. And now the logistics pipes can automatically service this request and dump spent fuel into here. So this has to heat up. That'll take a while, but when it's done, it'll process the things. I might even I might give it a furnace to automatically turn the iron back into ingots or something. I don't know. Or I guess I don't care. How much iron do I have? I have over 100,000 iron. Yeah, I don't care about the dust. It can stay as dust. I used up all of my crafting table slots earlier, so I think it's time we expand this too. Thankfully, that's very easy. It just takes a whole lot of clicking. There we go. That should just about double the amount of recipes we could hold. In fact, I might exactly double the number of recipes we can hold. I don't know why some of the signs are illuminated and some of them aren't. I think, yeah, the top here is all mob spawnables, so I'm just going to put another chandelier down to prevent that. Chandeliers have to hang off the bottom of something, and what better way to flaunt our richness than to hang it off a block of diamonds. Coming back to our thermal centrifuge here. Oh, I guess we left it alone too long. It's output stuff, so it stops running. Let's set up some drawers to hold the output products then. What was that before? I was wondering how I set this up before. I think it's all vertically stacked, right? So, and then before I touch the radioactive stuff, put the suit on. Look at me learning from my mistakes. Is this compactable? Oopsies. It is. Nice. So there's that, and iron dust. Alright, then I just need the upgrade for have it auto extract. Upgrade in the thermal centrifuge, and now it'll heat up again to start to melt all this stuff. Here I want to put void upgrades in, I guess, the iron and the uranium. And we'll want to hook it up to our logistics pipes with a chassis and a provider. So with this, any of the spent fuel that goes through our nuclear reactors will automatically get turned into plutonium. And that's really the ultimate byproduct we're interested in. Yeah, like the energy is nice. I mean, I guess I'm interested in the energy too. It's not just nice. It is necessary. I suspect our windmills are actually, our windmill turbines, our blades are actually dead now. It's been over a week since I built them, right? Let's go check that. I don't have anything radioactive in my inventory, do I? No, looks like the blades are still here. I wonder how much durability is left on them. Can't be much. Oh. Apparently they don't last a week. They last, literally forever. Okay, so I guess I never have to worry about replacing those blades. Let's do something fun. Let's turn on emergency hover mode and turn off regular hover mode and see if it'll catch us. In my experience, it has a tendency not to. Oh, it did it. It turns on hover mode right before you're supposed to hit the ground and it stops you. I find its success rate is not 100%, which for something that's supposed to keep you from dying, you kind of want that, last line of defense to be 100%. With plutonium production done, we can order Mox nuclear fuel. This can be used to, you can put this into like a fuel rod and make Mox fuel and run this in reactors as well. I believe Mox reactors are slightly different from regular reactors in that the hotter the reactor is, the more energy you get out. They also, once they're depleted, you get 100% of your plutonium back. In fact, you might even get more than 100% of your plutonium back. No, you get like a bonus piece of plutonium back. So it's just like regular fuel rods. But you can run Mox fuel if you don't have, a ton of uranium processing. But yeah, it might produce more energy than a regular just uranium reactor. But I don't know. I'm not terribly interested in setting up the infrastructure for that. Anyways, the Mox fuel is also radioactive. But if you take this, you can smelt it. This is the same furnace we cook our food in sometimes, right? So it obviously is a furnace you have to cook your nuclear fuel in. Or not. I guess you can't cook it in a redstone furnace. Darn, food safety people. Alright, I guess it needs a vanilla furnace? Or a vanilla style furnace? Yeah. Cook this in here, and it'll turn into Bedrockium. And with this, we can make with a couple ingots of this, we can make a mega torch. This stuff's pretty cool. When you hold it in your inventory, you get really, really slow. It gives you slowness 4, presumably because it's extremely heavy. Thankfully, it is not radioactive, so I am allowed to put my jetpack back on. Which, I don't know. Now I'm just very zoomed in. I'd like to automate the process of creating that Bedrockium so I never have to touch a piece of nuclear material in the process. You know, the whole not dying thing. So the recipe, a neat thing about logistics pipe is you can actually drag in ghost items through JEI. Just, you know, put them in. You get a full stack at a time, but you can right click to have it. So anyways, the recipe is 1 piece of Mox fuel. Oh, if you right click, you only get 1 as well. All right, 1 piece of Mox fuel makes a piece of Bedrockium. That's it. It has to go into a not a redstone furnace, so I'm just using a standard electric furnace with 8 overclockers. So I suspect that'll be faster than, let's try making some glass. I suspect this will be faster than using a the other furnace, induction furnace. So is it faster? I don't know. It's at least close. Anyways, now I should just be able to order Bedrockium. I think it takes 5 pieces. So can I get 5? Plutonium. Oh, I don't have enough plutonium yet. Alright. Hey, hurry it up, thermal centrifuge. If your machines are too slow for your taste, just put more overclockers in them. We don't actually need overclockers in this thermal centrifuge, but right now it's working through a pretty significant backlog, like multiple days worth of backlog. So we'll use them briefly, and then we'll take them out after. Anyways, now I think I can request 5 of these. There we go. So when the nuclear bits get crafted, they'll get stuffed in here and turned into Bedrockium ingots, which are not radioactive before I have to touch them. Here they come. Whee! There we go. For some reason, I thought this recipe was the other way around. It used 5 Bedrockium and 2 chandeliers, not 5 chandeliers and 2 Bedrockium. Well, anyways, I need to make these potions too, so I gotta do some brewing. Do I have melons? I have melon seed, good enough. Blaze dust or blaze powder can be turned back into blaze rods at a 5-to-1 ratio in a compressor. So you can't duplicate blaze rods this way because you can turn a single blaze rod turns into at most 5 blaze powder. You get 4 and some other products in a sag mill or a crusher, whatever, pulverizer. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure the bonus output from a... Does it work? I don't expect it to, but we have to try it. Sag mill. Wait, does this work? No, right? No, you get 4. I think you get the bonus secondary output chance, so it goes from 50% chance to 100%. But yeah, you don't get 8 blaze dust per blaze rod this way. No dupes. Wait a second, no, it did work. I put in 5 blaze rods. I got 24 blaze powder and 6 sulfur. Or did I put in 6 blaze rods? I had to go back and check the footage. I actually did only put in 5 blaze rods. So I guess it does work. You can duplicate blaze rods that way. Is it worth it? Not in the slightest. You get blaze dust for free from sifting sand or dust. So at least in this environment, it's not worth it. All right. I needed the blaze rod to make brewing stand because I have to brew a few potions. Oh boy, this version of Minecraft's so old, the brewing stand doesn't even use blaze powder as fuel. You get it for free. I'm honestly not sure what the purpose of the potions in this recipe are. It's like I get why the Bedrockium is there, that's to gate the recipe, and the chandeliers are like the low tier version of the item. But why these potions specifically? You know, why regen 2 and instant health 2 to make something that prevents mob spawns? I guess it makes it so that you can't even batch craft these because they only stack to 1, and the QED does not accept item automation. I may never know why this recipe was designed this way, But now that I have these magnum torches, I don't have to worry about mobs spawning around my base. That's also that's also why part of the reason why I upgraded our mob farm to use cursed earth. Cursed earth will spawn in areas protected, or will spawn mobs in areas protected by a magnum torch. So I don't, I can make it such that mobs won't spawn in my base if I like accidentally, or on purpose break a few torches, but it will not negatively impact the performance of our mob farm. Sources conflict on the exact size of the protection offered by the magnum torch, although it's basically just a big torch. It's at least 64 blocks in every direction, so like one magnum torch basically covers my entire base. I'll put the second one over here somewhere, I guess, because I made it. Well, that's all the time for today, folks. So let's wrap things up here for today. I'm glad we were able to get our enderman torture chamber finally built. I think we've been working on it for like the last 3 episodes, right? So all the pieces have finally come together, and we have tons of ender pearls. I have 100 of them. Tomorrow I'm thinking we'll come back and do magic, but who knows, maybe I'll change my mind before we get to there. We'll see. In any event, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care. Bye bye.